Welcome to this how-to application volume group for Oracle adding data protection volumes. We are introducing a new key ability to application volume group for Oracle. Create data protection volumes using the same optimized workflow as primary application volume groups. This approach adheres to anti-affinity and affinity rules for volume placement, ensuring that disaster recovery data volumes and log volumes do not share storage endpoints, thus reducing network contention. Backup and binary volumes are placed together since they do not compete for network I/O, making the data protection volume layout practical for failover. Security is maintained, with all data protection volumes requiring authorization from source volumes, just like other cross-zone or cross-region replication relationships. Application Volume Group for Oracle uses anti-affinity rules to place data and log volumes on separate storage endpoints. Backup and binary volumes are deployed on the same endpoint. The same rules apply to data protection volumes, which are mapped to the source volumes as shown in this table. Protection volume names are prepended with DR- for easy identification. Replicating the database volumes doubles the Azure NetApp file storage consumption. Data protection volumes can be in a standard service level capacity pool during normal operation and upgraded to premium or ultra service level in failover. Moving volumes to the flexible service level is not supported, but throughput can be adjusted if initially created as flexible. Now, let's see what this looks like in practice with a demo led by Luce.
Okay, so here we are in the Azure portal. You can see we have two NetApp accounts. We have one NetApp account in East US 2 that is going to be our primary or source. And we also have a NetApp account in Central US. That's going to be our target. If we look at East US 2, you can see that we have a single Oracle application volume group. And that volume group has 6 volumes. For this example, I only used 2 data volumes, but in a customer scenario, they may have up to 8 data volumes. And we'll just take a look at each volume and show that there is currently no replication. And now we'll take a look at Central US, and we'll click on Application Volume Groups, and we can see that there are no application volume groups as of right now, and there are also no volumes created at this time. So now we'll switch over to Postman. This is the API client I chose to use. Obviously, you can use any API client of your choice. Postman does allow you to define variables. So I'm using these variables as secrets. That way I'm hiding my subscription IDs and other sensitive information. So the first thing we have to do is get the bearer token. This is just Azure's authorization process in order to authenticate to the Azure Resource API. And now we're going to look at our API call, which will create the cross-region replication of our AVG for Oracle from East US 2 to Central US. So you can see here our URL. Important that the API version is 2025-01-01. And then this is going to be the name of our application volume group, CRR AVG from API test. And then here's our actual payload or our body that we are sending to the API. And really what this is an array of volumes. In this case, it is an array of data protection volumes. So there's going to be a one-to-one relationship for our source volumes and our destination volumes. And the unique part about this API call is that it's going to have a data protection block within the body. So you can see here our volume type is data protection. And then we also include the data protection JSON object here, which includes the endpoint type of destination, the remote volume resource ID. This is going to be our source resource ID of each volume. And then our replication schedule. In this case, I chose hourly for all of the schedules. And we're essentially just repeating this block for each of our 6 volumes. I also prepended all of the volume names with DR for disaster recovery and hyphen. So now that we have our body defined and our URL defined, we can send this using the put command. And you can see the API has accepted our request with a 201 status. And once the Azure ARM API accepts our API request, you will have to wait about 10 minutes for the application volume group and associated destination volumes to be created. So now you can see we have our application volume group. It has 6 volumes. So now let's take a look at one of these destination volumes. And if we go to replication, we can see that this endpoint type is a destination. However, the volume replication has not yet been authorized. So now we'll take the resource ID of the destination volume, and we'll go back to the source volume, and we'll use the authorization process to authorize the replication. This will need to be done for all 6 volumes. So you can see here, we're going to the backup source, clicking on replication, and then clicking the authorize button and pasting in our destination volume resource ID. This step can also be done via the API as well. Within a minute or two, you can now see that we've successfully authorized the volume replication. And a few more minutes later, our volume is now mirrored and in a healthy state.
The resulting volume layout with 2 data volumes has primary data volumes in Application Volume Group 1. After adding DR volumes, the same layout is established in a second zone or region. Azure NetApp Files volume replication is asynchronous. So to avoid losing transactions during failover to DR volumes, use DataGuard to replicate the logs to the DR location. This allows rolling forward transactions after starting the database in the secondary location. In summary, you can now add storage-based data protection to your Azure NetApp Files volumes for Oracle IaaS on virtual machines. This reduces load on production VMs by offloading replication traffic and avoids egress and ingress costs for data volume replication. For zero data loss failover, use DataGuard for redo logs. Cost savings are possible by placing DR volumes in a standard pool and upgrading performance in failover scenarios as needed. Failover your Oracle database to a different zone or region with confidence. For more information about creating data protection volumes using application volume groups for Oracle, visit the Application Volume Group for Oracle Deploy Volumes page using the QR code or the provided link. Thank you for watching this how-to. We hope you found it useful.